Hi, my name is Dale, and I just scored a 1580 on the October 2nd SAT, with a 780 on reading and writing section and an 800 on the math section. This video is gonna cover a little bit about my background, how I studied, how I stay motivated, the books and materials that I use, some tips and tricks, and some test day tips. Also, at the end of this video, there's gonna be a score reaction, so stay tuned. First of all, English is my second language and I had always spoken Thai my whole life. But last year I went on an exchange year to Minnesota, United States. And then I came back. I had to repeat the year and I didn't want to because it was just too much stress. And because we were online because of the COVID situation, blah, blah, blah. So I decided to drop out of high school, take the GED, which is a high school equivalency test or some sort of test. Then I had about 10 weeks to study for the SAT. I spent 3 weeks studying all the material and then 7 weeks doing the practice test. The books that I used were mostly from Erica Meltzer. I used her grammar book, reading guide book, and there's also a grammar workbook that I used, vocabulary book. I also used College Panda's advanced guide, and there's a 10 practice test workbook, which I don't really recommend if you have limited time. In my experience, the questions are not that close to real test. But if you have time and you want to, you can. So, yeah. My favorite book personally would be Mike and Patrick Barrett's book, The Black Book. It talks about how to approach different kinds of questions and different sections. There's also like a walkthrough for practice 1, 2, 3, 4, which I found really helpful. For vocabulary, I believe that most international students struggle with vocabulary. I personally use Quizlet. Just look up SAT vocabulary and play around with it for like 30 minutes a day or even 15 minutes a day. It's kind of fun if you stick with it. Think of it as like a game. Yeah. Another thing I recommend using is Khan Academy. I don't think it's received enough reputation here in Thailand. I'm not going to go into details about it because there are a lot of videos talking about Khan Academy on YouTube already. I personally do 40 to 60 questions a day, and I think Khan Academy is a really good platform for people who is just starting out and don't know where to begin. There are also free online lessons that teach you how to approach each section, and free practice tests, which I don't suggest doing it on here because the real test is going to be on paper. Oh, and you can see here I scored a 1310 on my first practice test and gradually improved over time. Anyway, use Khan Academy. I mean, it's free, so why not, right? Most importantly, follow subreddit SAT. It's such a good community, like it had helped me a lot. You can even find like study buddy. Ask people who has already taken the SAT and scored good on it, their tips and tricks, and then apply it to yourself. And you can find a lot of QAS in the subreddit. Many of you may wonder how many QASs did I do. I didn't count, but here, let me just... Before starting to prepare for the SAT, you have to find the right motivation. Bring a sheet of paper, write down the motivations, no matter how stupid it can be. It can be proving your friends wrong that you can do it even though she said you can't. Or, for me, I asked my parents to buy me a piano if I did good on the SAT, and that kind of kept me going. I wrote, feeling extra and cool like a mother genius.
Wow.
Tag on Reddit and people will be congratulating you. Something like that. It can be anything stupid or anything serious, like you'll finally have more time for traveling or self-improvement or playing music or something like that. This is gonna sound really weird, but I found out that Will Smith had a 1600 on the SAT, so I set him as my lock screen because I want him to be like my idol, you know. When I felt down or anything and I was gonna go on my phone, I would look at my phone, look at the lock screen, and feel like, damn, Will Smith got a 1600 on the SAT and I can freaking do it too. Another thing to keep yourself motivated is to give yourself time to relax and do what you like, whether it's watching Netflix or Amazon or Disney Plus. Me personally, I would play music like this shit I'm out. This. Also, every single week, take at least one day off just to chill out and hang out with a friend or whatever. I remember feeling unmotivated someday. Then I went on Instagram and I looked at this Olympic athlete account, and he posted like how much he had to go through, how many practices, how he hurt himself a lot, but he still went on with it. And I found that super motivating. And I was like, damn, and I'm sitting here being sad just because I couldn't get a math question right, or I couldn't get a reading question right. How did I study? First, take a diagnostic test to see where you're at. For example, I got a 1310. I was obviously better at math than reading and writing, so I needed to brush up some math topics that I don't remember. I would need to improve my reading comprehension, and I need to know some more grammar rules. That brings us to the next thing, make a study plan. I made them weekly. Every Saturday I would create a new study plan for each week. Also, you need to be prepared for being in a real test condition. So every Saturday morning I would wake up the time that I would wake up on the test day, and then do the SAT with no distractions at all. I would put a post-it in front of my room that I'm taking a test, so my family members wouldn't bother me and disrupt my flow or whatever. Another thing I suggest you using is using a mock SAT test sound. And I also read this, that you can look up classroom sounds or classroom noise on YouTube and then have it on, because on the real test day there are gonna be some distraction sound like paper scratching sound or pencil sound and the air conditioner sound, all those things. Try to emulate real test condition as much as possible. The thing that has helped me a lot is having a mistake book. Here's my little taco mistake book, and I would write like, read the questions, you dumb something like that. Just anything that's gonna help you remember. Every time you get a question wrong on your test, you have to think, why did you get it wrong? What was your thinking process? And then you write it down. And when you check for your answers, don't look at the answer explanation yet. Try to think of that explanation yourself. Then you would remember it more. By the way, you can keep track of your mistake patterns in Google Spreadsheet or Excel, anything that's suitable for you. But I don't know how to use any of those, so I just write it in old school style, just in a notebook. One really important thing, and mostly overlooked by many people when preparing for the SAT or just studying in general, is taking care of your mental and physical health. According to a study, when you do any type of intense physical activity, it causes blood to flow to the brain. This in turn fires up your neurons and promotes cell growth, particularly in the hippocampus. This means that just 20 minutes of exercise before studying can improve your concentration and help you focus your learning. Every morning I would spend about 30 minutes doing yoga. When I want to clear my mind, I would go for a run or take my dog for a walk. I think it's a really good way to not stress too much about the test. You need to eat good food and get enough sleep. If you're sleep deprived, it's gonna hurt your overall improvement. When I'm sleep deprived, I'm usually frustrated and my thinking is not as sharp as it usually is. Especially the week before your test day, get enough sleep. Here are some things that I wish I'd known before starting preparing for the SAT. Every answer is in the text. It's either restating or demonstrating, quoting from the black book. You just gotta read at the right point of the passage. Every answer is literal, so don't make assumptions. That's a no-no in SAT. I've always disliked reading books, so my reading comprehension skill sucked. When I took the ACT in my exchange year, my reading comprehension skill was lower than average. To be able to ace the SAT reading section, you only need good reading comprehension skill. And you might think, how do you improve your reading comprehension skill? Well, the answer is pretty easy. Just read. Leading to my SAT test day, I read about 5 to 15 articles a day, which I found them from New York Times, Scientific American, Smithsonian Magazine, or Harvard Business. Just read anything that you feel like you're going to be interested in. I also suggest reading historical speeches and classic novels such as Pride and Prejudice, The Great Gatsby, To Kill a Mockingbird, Catcher in the Rye. Just anything that American kids have to read in their literature class, but unfortunately or fortunately, international kids don't have to well, it's a good way to improve your reading skills. At least go through a chapter of a book a day. But you gotta have a good range of vocabularies too. When reading a passage, you're not gonna know every single word in the passage. You probably know like 70 to 80% of the whole passage, but you're gonna get the whole like picture and meaning and tone. For writing section, I used to not read the whole passage because I thought it was just like testing your grammar, not your reading comprehension skill, but it kind of does too for like add delete questions or what's the best introduction questions. Those require reading comprehension skills, so you need to read the whole passage. Anyways, in math you have to be super careful. I myself, I am very prone to making stupid mistakes. I remember like what's 7 times 3 and I answered 73. And then I checked it and I was like, but anyways, you gotta be super careful. A day before your test day, make sure to pack your bag, have everything ready, your admission ticket, water bottle, snacks, photo ID, and all this stuff. And try your best not to stress. Go hang out with some friends. I went on like a day trip with my family before the test. Make sure to get good night's sleep. I actually only slept about an hour or 2 because I couldn't sleep, but I did try to go to bed at 9, but I just didn't succeed. If you can, get a really good night's sleep. Make sure to dress comfortable. You don't want to be worrying about how you look, how's your makeup, how's your like shirt and everything. The only thing that you need to be focusing on is the test. This outfit is actually what I wore on my test day. Girls, if you can, wear your most comfortable bra, or even go no bra if you want to. Just focus on being comfortable. I'm not even joking. Don't worry, because your adrenaline is gonna kick in and it's gonna be a lot easier to focus than doing practice tests at home. One last thought though, it's not about what score you get. Well, it kind of is, but I want you to focus on the journey and not like, you know, like Miley Cyrus say. Never mind. Yeah, it's the journey, it's the whole thing, how much you improve, like how much work you put in it. Whatever the outcome is, you did your best. So that's all. Good luck everybody on your SAT, and I hope you get the scores that you want. If you have any questions, you can email me or leave a comment down below. Thanks. Bye.มึงเห็นปะ
มึงเลื่อนสุดยังเนี่ย
มึงเอาดีเชี่ย let's go 800ครับ first try มันทำยังไงสกอร์ดีเทลวะโอเค reading ผิด4 ข้อ writing ไม่ผิดเลย math ไม่ผิดเลยถ้าเราได้
เดียวได้ทุนแน่เลย
เยอะมากครับ เยอะมากครับ ที่ 1 ประเทศครับที่ 1 ประเทศ
ไม่รู้ดูคะแนนคนอื่นอยู่
เหรอ
แต่
เก่งมากแต่5,500เป็นติวเตอร์ได้แล้วเนี่ยเดียว
บอกเดี๋ยวบอกพ่อ